Welcome back to Toffee Booze, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing the Start 11 show for our trip to Molineux to face Wolves on Saturday evening. So let's get straight into it. Obviously, it's going to be a tough game against Wolves. A still very depleted Everton squad going into this one, but fingers crossed we can keep our unbeaten run going in the league and stretch it to 8 games. Obviously, the current record is 7, so fingers crossed we can keep that run going. But we'll start in goal again. It's probably one of the easiest ones to predict. It's Jordan Pickford in goal for David Moyes today. Um, I think Jordan Pickford's been a key to our recent success, in my opinion. I think he's just been so consistent. He's stopped big chances at big times in games and kept us in games. And when in previous years we might not have been in them. Against Manchester United, for example, that save against Bruno Fernandes to keep it 2-2. I think that's again that just shows how crucial Jordan Pickford is for us. But no Matheus Cunha for Wolves. I think that means Pickford might have a little bit of a less busy day than he maybe would have done. But as I said before, it was probably one of the easiest ones to predict. This one is Jordan Pickford in goal. So we'll move into the back four, and I think Vitaly Mykolenko will keep his place at left back. A good assist against Brentford. I think it was his first ever assist for Everton in the league. So yeah, again, that's positive. It shows he's maybe turning the corner going forward a little bit. Obviously a great cross to find Jake O'Brien at the back post, but fingers crossed he can keep that form going and put a little bit of a run together now. But I think he's been much improved under David Moyes since David Moyes has come in. I think obviously a lot of people were calling for him to have a spell at the team. I think me included, calling for him to have a spell at the team because he just looked all at sea under Sean Dyche. But just shows you, positive tactics for a fullback, and it can all change around. But we'll go into the two centre halves, and of course, again, this is probably an easy one to predict. It's Branthwaite and Tarkowski keeping their partnership going. I think it's going unnoticed with Jared Branthwaite. Certainly amongst the wider footballing world, and obviously us as Evertonians, we know how good Jared Branthwaite is week in week out. But I think it's going widely unnoticed in the footballing world that how good of a season Jared Branthwaite's actually having. I think at the start of the season he was struggling for form, he was struggling for fitness, but now he just looks like that Rolls Royce of a centre half, which we've seen so many times in an Everton shirt. And obviously, as I mentioned before, James Tarkowski partnering him, I think they've formed that really good, great partnership over the last 2 seasons. And I think as well, a lot of people questioned it at the start of the season with James Tarkowski. Would he be able to keep pace with the pace of the Premier League? But I think James Tarkowski is just a top centre half. He's a great professional. He gets 102 games in a row that he's played for Everton now, 102 appearances in a row. So again, the best quality is availability in the Premier League, and James Tarkowski is pretty much always available. But as I said before, Branthwaite and Tarkowski are just a top partnership, so it was an easy one to predict who was going to start at centre half. But we'll go to right back, and I think Jake O'Brien's going to keep his place there. A great goal against Brentford last time out, on great form. I'm really enjoying watching Jake O'Brien in Everton shirt. I think we were starved of any opportunity to see him play for Everton at the start of this season, but he's come into the side. He's looked really assured. He's looked really confident, and every credit to him because it must have been difficult sat on the bench for so long. Losing that match sharpness, but coming in the way he did, I think he's been absolutely fantastic. So every credit to him, and fingers crossed he can keep that good form going. But we'll move into the midfield now, and I think. The first one I'm going to predict to start against Wolves will be James Garner. He's always consistent, isn't he, James Garner? He's a solid midfielder. He's a solid option. And as I said before, he just gives you a 7, 8 out of 10 every single week. So, I think he's really dependable and someone that David Moyes is really going to trust during his, 2.5 year spell here. I think David Moyes is going to really trust James Garner. So, as I said before, solid midfielder, and I think he'll keep his place on Saturday against Wolves. And then next to him is Idrissa Gana Gueye, an absolute Rolls Royce of a midfielder. He's so good, Idrissa Gana Gueye. We absolutely love him. He's been absolutely fantastic in his first tenure, obviously at Everton, and also is now his second tenure at Everton. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. Fingers crossed he signs that contract extension. I think he's a good role model for the rest of the midfield. He'll help to nurture the likes of Harrison Armstrong, Tim Iroegbunam, if he were to stay for an extra season. So fingers crossed he signs that contract. But again, as I said before, I think he'll keep his place in midfield and be alongside James Garner against Wolves on Saturday. But moving a little bit further forward, I think Abdoulaye Doucouré will be restored to the team. A lot of people will probably, have something to say about that in the comments, especially with Carlos Alcaraz in decent form. But I do think Abdoulaye Doucouré will come back into this one. Obviously missed the Brentford game due to the birth of his child. So congratulations to him. But I felt like we missed his structure a little bit against Brentford in midfield, especially. I think they were able to beat our press a little bit more than maybe they would have done if Abdoulaye Doucouré had featured. So I think he is, a pretty vital part to our midfield at times. A lot of people will have a lot to say about his ability on the ball, me included. I don't think he's the best on the ball, but as I said, in various different reviews and starting 11 shows, I do think he offers something in terms of structure and setting that press and pressing as a unit. I think he's very good at doing that. So I do think he'll be restored to the team for David Moyes just for that little bit more stability in midfield. Obviously, it's going to be a difficult game going to Wolves. They're fighting for their lives. So I think any opportunity to restore a bit of structure to the game, I think David Moyes is going to take that opportunity. Maybe using Carlos Alcaraz as a super sub off the bench to try and make an impact later on in the game. But that completes the midfield. We'll go into the front three now, and I think Jack Harrison will keep his place off the left-hand side. Obviously, as we know, as I said earlier in this video, it's a very depleted Everton squad. Still missing Dwight McNeil, for example. So I think Jack Harrison will keep his place there. I think we just need to see a little bit more of an attacking threat from him. I've said it so many times over the years with Jack Harrison. I think he just lacks that little bit of confidence that he can beat a man. He does have the ability to do it. I think there's no question about it that at times there is a player in there, but with Jack Harrison, you rarely see him beat a man. So fingers crossed he can restore a bit of confidence and try and just give us a little bit more attacking output between now and the end of the season. But moving to the right hand side, I think it's also another player that falls under that bracket of confidence, and it's Jesper Lindstrom. He's just struggling to find the net, isn't he? I feel really sorry for him because he's clearly trying very hard, but I think he's just really struggling to do that. But he brings us a good structure. Jesper Lindstrom, he's one of those players that it weirdly all seems to fall apart down that right hand side when he goes off. I think you don't realise how much he does offer in terms of defence and hard work on that right hand side until he goes off the pitch. But as I said before, just fingers crossed he can start finding the net at some point because no, it looks like it's getting to him a little bit. So, fingers crossed he can put that behind him. But moving to the striker now, obviously we know, as I've said many a time in this video, we are quite depleted, but I do think Beto will keep his place. Hopefully he can put a difficult evening against Brentford behind him. Obviously, three huge chances in that one that he probably should have scored. I think the one in the second half maybe is a little bit dubious, but the two in the first half he definitely should have scored. So fingers crossed he can put that behind him. But I think he is very much a confidence player. So what that does to his confidence, you do worry. But nominated for Player of the Month, he was the Toffee Blues Player of the Month. So fingers crossed he can put that form together for the month of March and start catapulting us up the table with more goals. But that completes the starting 11. I'll go through it one more time. So it's Jordan Pickford in goal, Vitaly Mikolenko at left back, Jared Branthwaite, James Tarkowski, and Jake O'Brien completing your back four. Abdoulaye Doucouré, James Garner, and Idrissa Gana Gueye as your midfield three. Jack Harrison off the left, Jesper Lindstrom off the right, and Beto completing the starting 11 for the Wolves game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about the start 11. Would you have seen Carlos Alcaraz start instead of Abdoulaye Doucouré? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But that is all from me today. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.